You're listening to the KATcast, a weekly podcast from the staff you love to listen to each weekday on 94.3 Cat Country. Killian Hart and Jordan J. Now, here they are, talking about life, love, and everything mid-Missouri.
Yes, indeed. It's another KATcast. And, interesting, this subject, this topic, you guys came up with this while I was off for a couple of days.
Well, listen, I'm not going to take the credit for this.
Well,
it's Erin's idea, 100%.
Well, here's the deal. Our young Jordan J turned the dirty 30 on Sunday.
I did.
Happy birthday, my friend.
I am now out of my 20s.
I'm telling you.
So now we don't really know what to call you, because, I mean, you're still young Jordan J to us, but...
Youngish.
Now I'm youngish. Thanks. Now I feel old.
Now you can start making, at least mildly making old jokes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Now
right?
we can, give you advice from when we were 30.
Yes.
And maybe kind of give you a hint as some things that you could possibly expect.
Yes.
In your 30s.
Let's do that.
So Kevin, would you like to begin?
I got married at 30 years old.
Nice.
And I will tell you that I'm going to give you two things from this, okay?
Okay.
One of them is about marriage, and one of them is about just family in general, okay?
Yes.
No matter what I'm not even going to say fighting about, whatever you're arguing about
yes.
now, think about, will it matter, not even 5 years from now, a month from now, will it matter?
Yeah.
And that kind of puts it all in perspective.
Yeah.
And again, I say this as somebody who did some really dumb things when I was first married.
Explain
you talk
more.
to my wife, she'll fill you in on the details. So I really had to grow into being married. I mean, I was a single guy for so long.
Yeah.
That I had to kind of, I was like the Lewis and Clark for myself of being married. So that's one thing. Okay. What I'm saying is, whatever your disagreement is, realize that in the larger, wider scope of things, it's going to have no impact as long as you both take each other back. Learn to say, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong. Just so you know, okay?
I never get I was wrong. I'm always the one that's wrong. But we'll go with what Hilly said.
It's a great, keep that in your toolbox, man. I was wrong. It's kind of like the Swiss Army knife of relationships, okay? And the other thing is, you will always, if you have kids, and you do, obviously.
Yes.
No matter how old you get, no matter how old they get, you will always worry about your kids. Not just when they're kids. The worry changes as they get older. When they get into adulthood, you're like, okay, well, they're going to have to figure that out, that sort of thing, whatever problem they're having. But you will always want to know what they're up to, what's going on in their life, and you're always gonna, if you can.
That never really goes away.
It never goes away. You hear about things going on with them, and then once you get into grandkids, that's a whole nother story.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
So that's my advice.
So Jordan, I was 30 years old when my health just went to hell in a handbasket.
Oh, no, great.
Okay. Weird things will start happening to your body. Yes. Pay attention to your body. I was 30 when I was diagnosed with a pituitary tumor. I was 31 when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. And I was 35 when I had a pulmonary embolism due to 4 blood clotting factors that I didn't know I had. So pay attention to your body. If something feels off, then it probably is.
It probably is.
Get it checked out. It's better to know. Like, I've got a sibling who refuses to go to the doctor. If there's something wrong, doesn't want to know about it. I'm the opposite. I want to know about it because when I get home, I want to Google and figure out as much as possible. No, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
What can I do to make these symptoms easier? What can I do to, potentially avoid surgery and not have to deal with this or that, just take care of your body. It's the only one we ever had. I spent my whole 20s trashing it, going to bars all the time. Not going to lie, I had the time of my life. However, life's a lot different now.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't really do those things
No.
Before I knew Erin, okay? By the time I met her, she was already like a fairly established adult.
Yeah. Gosh, I can't even do that now. Like, I remember I used to man, back in the day in college,
She was fairly responsible by the time I met her in 2008.
Yeah.
So.
See, I don't even want to ruin a weekend now. I'm like, no, they're too valuable to me. Like, my work week goes by fast, my weekend goes by fast, but I'm like, I don't want to be in bed all weekend. Though, you know what I mean? Like, sitting there feeling bad. Oh, I shouldn't have went out Friday.
So now that you're 30, like, is it one of those things where you were kind of dreading it, like turning 30, or were you excited to turn 30?
I don't know. I almost like feel a little indifferent about I don't know if I was worried per se of like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old now. But then at the same time, like when I sit down and think about it, it's like, I'm not as young as I like think I am anymore. You know what I mean?
It's
like
true.
It's weird because your mind kind of just stays in a spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're like, wait, I guess I am kind of starting to age a
forever
little
17.
bit. Exactly. Right?
I'm forever putting off that paper I'm supposed to write and, being ill prepared for class. Mainly wanting to socialize with my friends, but physically and when I really think about it, I know I'm an adult and I have responsibilities.
Yeah.
At 65 years old now, I will tell you when I was like, say, in my 20s, if I looked ahead, I go, 65? Oh my gosh, that is so old. I can't even imagine. My grandparents are 65. That whole thing. But I'll tell you, other than like the aches and the pain, and you do get them. At least I do anyway. Like you don't move as quickly, but I still feel. I mean, really, I don't feel any differently in terms of my attitude towards things at all.
Yeah.
As I did when I was in my 30s. Say, I mean, I don't feel older. That's the thing.
The aches and pains you experience could be from the copious amounts of processed food you eat. Just gonna throw that out there.
But that just adds to my joy, though. Those things.
Yeah.
And aches and pains, that just adds to it.
But
so funny?
You're always living sort of in the moment, like as your age, as it relates to your age. You're always sort of like locked. At least I'm speaking about myself. I'm speaking to myself. But you're always locked in this one part of your life, and you never feel like, oh, I don't want to be like I don't want to hang. Let me put it to you this way. I don't like hanging around old people. And like, people would look at me and go, oh, he's an old guy. But I don't like I like hanging around people who think young and who have, positive, okay, I'll give you a great example. Okay. I looked at, and maybe again, people are thinking this of me. I don't know. But I saw a picture the other day. I got an email. It's from this, high school, like yearbook type group that I belong to. And they sent me a picture. Hey, do you recognize this person from high school? And I go, holy crap, who is that old lady there? And then I looked at it, and it was somebody I went to school with. I go, oh my God! I hope they're not looking at my picture. Going,
I know.
Who's the old dude?
It's so weird what the mind does, right? When you're like living your life. If it's like, again, it's like, he's like, oh, I graduated so long ago. But in your mind, it's like everyone stays that way because that's the last time you saw him. So you're like, the last time I saw you, you were 18.
Right. Exactly.
You've been 18 for, 40 years for me, right?
It's
like
something else you'll realize in your 30s is, it seems like when you're in your teens, in your 20s, the world's very much black and white. There's right and wrong.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
the older you get, you start realizing there's many variations. Lots of shades of gray out there, and what you think is right is not always right.
Yeah, definitely.
And what you think is wrong is not always wrong. It's bizarre. It's weird. And that's something that, I also have that knee-jerk snap judgment. Oh, well, and then I get to thinking, I'm like, well, wait a minute. It could be this. It could be that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's just something that comes with age as well, because when you're young, you think you know everything.
No, of course, yeah.
We don't.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I remember at one point in my life with my parents when they were still alive, I remember saying, man, Mom, you were right.
Oh, I've said, I have found myself saying that many times where it's like, I was this joke with my dad the other day. I'm like, you know what? I was like, I finally realized why we had bedtimes as kids. It's like, because you were like, I'm done being a parent for the day. Yeah. I need you to go. I've been at work all day long. I've been playing with you all. I've been cooking. I've been doing whatever else. It's like, it's time for me to do my thing. please sleep.
Without details, I'm thinking Samuel L. Jackson. You look it up yourself, and you'll see what we're talking
about. Look it up on YouTube. That's all we're gonna say.
Yeah,
no,
it's
a little bedtime story.
It's true, you know.
But I was, he's like nudging me, like laughing or whatever, and I was like, I know what it was now. You just wanted to watch TV. He starts laughing. He goes, dude, I had to have a little time to myself.
We've also now, my wife and I have had the joy of having, I think, all three kids in one way or another, or in one saying it in one way or another, saying, "Hey, you were right. We get it." Okay, so
yeah.
It's that's a great validation that you were doing something right when they were growing up.
Well,
so
it's always funny.
Anything you're not looking forward to now that you're in your 30s?
Let's see. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say like I'm definitely not looking forward to like the random things just happening out of nowhere. Like it's like you're fine, and then you're like, well, now I'm not fine. Why am I hurting now? Why am I starting to ache a little bit? Like I'm not looking forward to the aches and pains.
It's like you're a little red wagon, and then one day you lose one wheel, and you're like, how did that happen?
Out of nowhere, right?
Out of nowhere. Yes, you didn't hit a bump. You didn't. You don't know what exactly happened, and then you cruise on down the road, and there goes another wheel. That's kind of life.
One thing that happens, and I think for most people, it's usually once they hit their 50s, maybe 60s if they're lucky, you start losing parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and in some cases, friends who were your age.
That stuff, yeah.
That isn't all. I mean, and you think, I remember at the time before either my mom or dad died, I remember thinking, I don't know how I'm ever going to handle this when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
You do. You find the grace to go through it, and you realize it's another stage of life. My dad was first in 91. My mom was next in 2010. And if you're fortunate, if you sort of see it coming down the road and you can prepare for it, as opposed to, click suddenly happening and like, God forbid, an accident or something like that.
Yeah.
But that is a thing that everybody faces that at some point down the road. But you do get through it, and especially if you have a spouse or kids to help you through it. That makes it much
helps
easier.
a lot. That helps a lot.
I mean, I'm lucky. I've got both my parents, but the husband, we lost his mom in 2017, and we actually lost his stepmom on Sunday. And you feel awful, and I keep thinking, one day this is going to be me. We all know it's inevitable. It's going to happen, but just being there for that person as best you can.
Yeah.
And I like to cook. I cook a lot. So he's probably going to gain some weight and then yell at me later. But that's just how I deal with grief. I don't know what else to do. I've said I'm sorry and this is horrible and what can I do? And then when, he quits responding to that, then it's like, what can I cook? All right. Hey, here's lasagna. Hey, I made chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Hey, brownies.
Yeah.
Who wants Rice Krispie treats? Because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Hey, Erin, I think my time is short. Rice Krispie treats, brownies.
You're fine.
I was fine.
You're fine.
Come on, Jordan, you should have backed me up on this, man. We could have both enjoyed this.
Sorry, Erin, I need a chocolate pie.
I'll just bring in some ramen for you.
Nice.
Here's a ramen
That's
cake.
like your Band-Aid there.
As you get older, too, I will tell you another thing that happens, and it's kind of morbid, but at the same time, you think on it. It's like, okay, again, I'm 65. I'm thinking, the other day I was thinking, and I'm being optimistic here, I might have another 20, maybe 25 years left.
Not with your diet.
On this earth. I go, wait a minute. I can clearly think back to 20 or 25 years ago. And so, that's not that long from now.
That's got to be a terrifying thought. Yeah,
I know, I'm just saying. But then you immediately dismiss it and you watch something on TV you like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Exactly. Right?
I think we all have that morbid curiosity of how long are we going to make it?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a race or anything like that, and you have no idea. We all know that the sand is running out of our hourglass on a daily basis,
definitely
on an hourly basis. But, I think we all will sit there and go, I've sat there and been like, all right, even with all the weird health issues I've got, all right, so I had, a grandpa that made it here. Okay, so he didn't make it very long. However, my grandmothers, both made it until 89, 94. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of liking my odds a little bit.
Definitely, definitely, yeah.
But at the end of the day, we don't know.
I'm hoping I have my mom's DNA because my mom's side of the family tends to live pretty long. I have an aunt who's 96 years old, sharp as a tack, man. My mom made it to 85, but she had breast cancer for like 20 years, but had it not been for that, my dad's side of the family, not a long life. Okay, so I'm hoping I got mom's DNA on this one. We'll see.
I'll say my great grandma's still alive. She's 101.
That's so cool.
Yeah, isn't that insane?
Get the story. By the way,
she still lives on her own.
Get the stories from her now.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one thing I regret when I was younger, that I did not grab a hold of my grandparents and my, great uncles and things. I just, hey, what about this? Hey, when you lived here, what about, all that stuff. Yeah. Get it now while you can.
Yeah.
While, hopefully she remembers stuff.
Yeah,
and,
she does, definitely. She's a little harder of hearing now, but she always complains about that. She's like, well, I just don't hear as well. I'm like, Grandma, you're 101. Of course you don't hear as well as you used to.
Hey, I'm 30. I can't hear, okay?
I know, yeah.
I've had headphones clamped over my head for years now.
Trust me. My wife hates that. She's all the time telling me something, and I'm like, what? And she goes, she's like, I've already told you 3 times. I'm like, I'm going to have
I've taken to yelling now, like if I'm downstairs and she's upstairs, I've taken to yelling like the first time to avoid the I'll go like, do you want me to take these out of the dryer? You know what I mean? So just like,
note to self: never be Hilly's neighbor. Good gravy.
I think they're fighting over there.
No,
no kidding.
He's just making sure she can hear the blue shirt. Hang the blue shirt up.
You're gonna get calls from the sheriff's department weekly. The Hillies are at it again.
There you go.
Keep yelling.
And the loudmouth one.
Oh
no, but I will say though, with having kids and stuff too, man, like I never really thought of like a time going by very quickly until I had kids, and then you really you see it happen before your eyes.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, my son, he's about to be 6, like literally next month. He's
Kids
gonna
are
be
like
6.
little hourglasses,
I know.
man. They're like, you watch it happening before your eyes.
And I'm like, I was feeding you bottles. How are you now 6? You know, I don't understand.
The other day, he was here and he asked me to wipe his hiney.
That's true.
That was like, what, 3 years ago or something like that?
It was.
That's like hands down my
You talking
favorite.
about me, Erin?
No.
Yeah.
No, you asked me this afternoon.
That was been 5 or 6 years for me.
Yeah.
He did. He goes, I want Erin to wipe me. I'm like, she's not going to do that.
Oh my God. You're like, sure, come on, little buddy.
Yeah.
You're like, this is where Aunt Erin fun ends, okay?
We shared chicken nuggets. We had played with dinosaurs. I could see where the bond began. But yes.
This is a bridge too far, dude.
I'm
Sorry.
glad you did go ahead and decline for me. I appreciate that.
But yeah, no, it's
Aunt
awesome.
Erin's coming over for a weekend of fun.
Yeah.
And wiping.
I chuckled to myself too. I was telling my wife because I was taking some some vitamins and all this stuff, and I'm like, I look down, and I'm like, man, I'm taking 4 pills. I'm like, is this what it is? I'm like, getting older, you start taking more supplements and pills. And
I'm telling you, know what? Okay. My wife has the blue daily pill thing.
Yeah, like
you
the
know
case.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I get up every morning. I take my gummies. I got a couple other pills I take every single day.
What kind of gummies you taking over there?
No, they're the good. They're just a B12 complex.
Sure they are.
No, they
it's
are.
a B12 vitamin.
I love those things. I would take 4 of them if I could.
Oh,
You're only
yeah.
supposed to take 2 at a time. So
Sometimes-
I always look forward to the next day when I'm going to have some more.
Those vitamins do sometimes taste like that. My
Really, I
kids like
love
those
them.
little I can't remember what they're called, like Critter Brights or whatever the heck they're called. Critter Brights. I don't know what
These are like nature made or whatever. Nature.
Yeah, it's
whatever.
got a bear on it. You know what I'm talking
you find
about?
so many gummies in nature.
I know it's so.
Little critters. That's what it's called. Little critter. It's called little critters. But they love them so much. It's like a candy for them, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so they're all the time wanting to eat more. And I'm like, these are vitamins, kids. You can't have too much.
Oh, and look, they got a delightful little bear on
Yeah,
the
that's it. That's it. See, there you go.
Isn't that cute?
What I call them? What I say?
Little critters. That's what they are. Little critters.
Little critters. But what I say? I said something different the
can't
first
remember.
time.
I don't know. But, look,
good
this one has the kids from
Cocoa melon.
Cocoa melon.
Oh, yeah.
How do you know cocoa melon?
Because you guys had to teach me, because you guys were talking about it one day, and I was like, I got dogs. I don't have kids.
Cocoa
I have
melon.
no idea what that is.
Just as an aside, you ever notice the mom on cocoa melon is really kind of cute?
That's why you know Coco.
Okay, that's
Melon.
a whole nother podcast for another day.
just saying, she's a
It's
very-
cartoon characters you find attractive.
She's a very attractive woman.
As a parent, you can only listen to Baby Shark so many times
Oh my God.
before you're ready to be like, all right, we're never watching this again.
You know, if I never hear Baby Shark again in my life, it'll be fine. you know. So anyway, happy birthday, my friend.
Thanks.
30 years old, and you've joined the you've begun your 4th decade now.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Right? That's crazy.
Wow.
That is crazy to me. Yeah. Well, next.
Sure, it's not his 3rd.
Oh, here we go again. I'm trying to teach Erin about the math of aging and everything.
That's true. Well, here's the thing.
When you
right?
turn 30, you're really now into your 31st year.
You're not born a year old, right?
Right, thank you. When you're born, you're not born a year old.
You're 30.
Thank you.
You're 30 till you turn 31 next year.
But you are like 10 months old if you think about it, right?
You're 9 months
you've
old.
developed.
Wait, what 10?
They say 9.
Did your baby...
No.
Good grief.
Listen.
I was going to say you're 4 months. Were you a month overdue?
No, I was. Well, I probably would have been. I was like 2.5 weeks overdue.
She gave birth to a toddler.
I looked like the Michelin
Jordan
star
was
man.
still in there.
Like
He was making it up as his own.
No, I was literally the Michelin tire like
His
baby.
little Xbox in the corner
Oh, yeah,
over
the
here.
Michelin man.
Yeah.
My oldest grandson, as we used to call me, had the rolls of
I had
fat.
rolls, everything.
Yeah.
I came out. I was a 10.5 pound baby.
Oh, my
I could use my neck. Like I was like staring at like I was
could
good.
use my neck.
Well, you know how some
No,
babies can't. You know what I mean? Like they kind of have like their neck. You have to like support them a little bit.
Like you were like...
Nope. I was sitting there looking around. I'm like, I'm good.
You know, Weston, my oldest grandson, he's 6 now. When he was born... first of all, they had to go in to get him, okay? It was cesarean.
Yeah.
And they went in and apparently...
He got an eviction notice.
What's that?
He got an eviction notice.
He did, because apparently he had crawled back up. He wasn't ready to come out, and they were like, no, young man, time to vacate the facility, time to vacate the premises. You're out of here. They had to get he was just laying there waiting to get, but, you know, he was 10 too.
That's
10 pounds, 2 ounces. He was a big kid.
That's like my wife. So my son and my daughter were both late.
Yeah.
Like we have to induce pregnancy. Like we've never just had I was like, my water broke. Oh,
Yeah.
it's coming.
Like
we
on
haven't
TV. That never happens.
No,
Yeah.
we've had many. It's like we've scheduled. It's like we're gonna break your water now.
Are we
Okay.
doing this again?
It's not like it is on TV at all. It's not.
No.
Never something very dramatic.
No.
What was I watching the other day? And the husband and wife are in bed, and she wakes him up. He goes, "Whoa!" She goes, "The baby, it's coming." It's like that doesn't happen. You know, it's like it's. I'm sure in some cases it does, but I'm just telling you, it's like no. And again, we didn't get a chance to go through any of that because all 3 of our kids were adopted.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to do any of the baby stuff.
Yeah.
But my grandsons, man. Woo! We got to do all that.
Yeah.
And then when we're done, we hand them back to their parents.
And
which
they
is
do
awesome.
not give you a manual on how to be a parent. And let me tell you, there's so many things. This could be a topic for another day.
Yeah.
There's so many things that I'm like, why is no one talking about this? No one mentions any of this. I want to almost like open up this secret.
It's the secret parents club. Okay. Don't anybody tell any. It's like the wives club. They go into the bathroom together.
Yeah.
They're planning strategy in there. Okay, that's what they're doing.
I'm just saying, it's a great time, but wow, are you going to experience some things that you're like, I didn't know a human body could do something
I'm
like
telling
this.
You. No, I would. You know what? I've said it 100 times. I would never trade any. I would give up the first 60 years of my life to experience the last 6 that I've had with my 3 now grandsons. It's just like.
That's got to be incredible.
It's fabulous.
Yeah,
so.
for sure.
And the kids are grown up and they're good too. So
I have dogs.
Hey, listen, trust me. Kids and dogs are very similar.
they do have similarities.
I don't have a leg to stand on.
You don't get side-eye from your dogs.
You got to potty train dogs. You got to potty train kids.
Yeah.
You got to try to put the dogs to bed. You got to try to they'll get into stuff. I mean, kids are basically.
Of course, you're not going to leave the kids home alone in a crate for 8 hours.
No.
Or maybe you will. I don't know.
You will. Depends on what they did. I guess.
Right, exactly. You'll be fine.
It's going to be okay. Here.
I got a towel right here for you if you have a problem.
Here's a bone for everybody.
Here's some Cheerios. Have a nice day.
Take a nappy nap. I'll be home before you know it.
I think we should wrap things up on that before we get in trouble.
Probably, yeah.
They were talking on that podcast about kids in crates or something.
Woo!
No, it was all in good fun.
It's called a joke.
That's right, exactly.
Yes.
So, hey, if you have not yet, please subscribe to our podcast wherever you get it. Maybe you're listening on Spotify or Apple podcasts, or maybe you're listening on the website 943cat.com
Or the tube of you.
The YouTube, yes, exactly. Are we on YouTube? I think we are, yeah.
I'm putting it on YouTube.
We are, okay.
You're supposed to have
I'm
been
the one
putting
that's
them
supposed
on
to be
YouTube.
putting it on. Well, then we are. If that was my job, I did
Get it anywhere you go.
But always funny, whenever I hear other podcasts, they're always like, hey, and wherever you get your podcast, I go, how many sources do you have? You know?
We're trying to slowly find them all.
I'm telling you. So, hey, thanks for being a part of this KATcast. Kevin Hilly along with
Erin Hart.
And I'm Jordan J.
You've been listening to the KATcast, your weekly dose of fun from the staff you know and love on 94.3 Cat Country. Click subscribe and never miss an episode. Share it on social media and tell your friends with 94.3 Cat Country.